G'day Divas, this is SuperZombGBBQ, and today we are going to be talking about the WrestleMania Divas, the best in the tier. I mentioned about this in the WrestleMania Superstars video. Now, just a disclaimer, I do know that now Divas are superstars, as they say, and I personally support that 100%. But in the purpose of Season 2 of WWE SuperCard, they are still classed as Divas. We keep them classed as females, but I don't want to create that divide when I have that conversation. We are just going to refer to the fact that in the previous video, which is just going to show up over here now, we did talk about the top 10 and top 10 or worst 10 superstars of WrestleMania tier in WWE SuperCard Season 2. We are now going to talk about the top 5 and the worst 5. Again, WWE SuperCard Divas, as they are classed in the game. And we're going to get into that right now. Now we're going to do this in the same format as the previous video. It's going to show up on either on the right or the right hand side, the details of each card that I'm going to be showing up, or I'm going to show you it on screen right now. And I'm going to talk about the worst cards of the tier first, then talk about the worst stats in the tier, and also we will then talk about the top 5 divas and the top diva stats in the tier. There may be multiple cards in this video which, for example, share the same rank in terms of the overall stats. But let's move into that right now and talk about the worst divas in WrestleMania tier for WWE SuperCard Season 2. Let's go! So we'll start from number 5. Now, number 5 is a surprising one, considering she was so useful in Survivor tier and is quite good in Legendary tier as well. And that's Bayley, and that's by a technicality, which I'll explain in a second. Now, Bayley's actually a decent card, has one of the best stats sets overall, but her power massively lets her down, which obviously is a big flaw. So we have a look at Bayley over here. Her power massively lets her down overall. We then move on to two that tie, and that's a technicality in terms of getting her into the top 5 or the bottom 5, and that is we've got to have Asuka and also Naomi. Now, Asuka and Naomi both tie in terms of overall stats, and also tie when fully leveled and pro'd up. If you put it in their best overall stats, which obviously for Naomi is power and charisma, for Asuka it's power and toughness. But again, Asuka lets herself down by having low speed, low charisma, and for Naomi it is toughness and speed that she lets herself down in. Moving on to the next one, which is Nia Jax. Now, Nia Jax's debut in this tier, just like Asuka's, isn't a great one, but she is really useful in power and potentially toughness, although again her stats aren't some of the best which you would expect to find, but her power, just like kind of Mark Henry in the Superstars section, she is very useful card. Moving on to the next one, and this is quite a drop for these two. This is Emma, who's second worst to the tier. She gets absolutely crushed by Sasha Banks, just as an example. But she's a very useful right arrow in the tier for divas. And then the last one is one I actually have access to. But the thing with divas is regardless of how good the diva is, if it's a diva pro, it's going to help you massively, because the old tale as such is that there is, and we have no confirmation of this, but I believe this to be true, is that a diva has a lower pull rate. Also, divas can't be pulled from packs at the moment. In WrestleMania tier, Survivor tier, in previous seasons, you could actually pull a diva from a WrestleMania or a Survivor pack. In this tier, you've not been able to do, in fact this entire season, you've not been able to do that, which makes them even hard to come by. And if you don't have access to a Diva Pro, later on in the tier it becomes very difficult, because you've got other people who are a little bit luckier. I'm very lucky to have a Sasha Banks Pro, one of the best in the tier, which obviously we'll talk about in a second. So that is a list of the worst 5. Let me know if you've got access to any of these, or if you've got any of these pro'd, because either then, I mean, Alicia Fox is the worst card. I've just realised I've not done Alicia Fox, ignore that, so just carve whenever you want to. But the worst card in the Divas for WrestleMania tier is Alicia Fox, because her toughness and power is absolutely abysmal. However, her speed and charisma is useful, and she's an up arrow, which is very rare in the tier. But really and truthfully, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, it doesn't save her much. And if you got her as a pro, great, it's going to be useful to start with, but afterwards it's going to be pretty naff. Just on the basis that Nikki Bella beats her in every single stat, just FYI. So she's actually incredibly low down compared to some of the other cards in the tier. But let me know if you got any of those divas as your freebie, or even if you was able to get those from King of the Rings in the comment section below. If you got pros of any of those, let me know in the comment section below. Now just to talk about some of the worst stats as well, we're just going to link into a couple of stat choices now as to the worst stats for divas in the tier, and some of these might be surprising. So the first one to run through is power, which does belong to Bailey. I mentioned this earlier on, and unfortunately Bailey does retain one of the worst power. The overall for the worst toughness is Alicia Fox. I mentioned that earlier on. And for worst speed and charisma, funnily enough, actually goes to Asuka. She does have the worst speed and the worst charisma of this tier. Or JB could learn math. Just to clarify, if we go back to the original video, sorry guys, Nia Jax actually does have the worst speed and charisma in WrestleMania tier for the divas. Apologies. The last one to run through is the top 5 divas, and then the whole collection is complete. And this one again is going to have a couple of draws in there, and also some very surprising stats that you guys may not know about, which basically make one card specifically overpowered as hell, which we're going to talk about in a second. So first of all, let's start again from the top 5, and this is actually a draw between Paige and Brie Bella. Now this was actually exactly the same in Survivor tier, however they were joined by Sasha Banks. Now Paige and Brie Bella, both very good cards. In fact, Paige is very useful if you level up fully in toughness, but also you've got Brie Bella, who's one of the best cards overall in speed and charisma as well. But moving on to number 4 is a card that I do actually have a pro I'm very fond of, because she is incredibly useful. Again, I said this in the Superstars video, one of the only cards that actually procs or does the ability in toughness and charisma, and that is Sasha Banks. She's just above the girls there and just beneath the third place one, which is going to be revealed in a second. But you can use Sasha Banks to your advantage, because if you level up it fully in toughness, she's an absolute machine against other cards such as Charlotte, such as Nia Jax, such as Emma. She's an absolute monster. But as cards go, she's pretty awesome, and I believe the only one that procs in toughness and charisma out of all the divas going on. And maybe Emma actually does as well, but Emma's stats are so low it just doesn't even compare. She also has the accolade of being the card with the most charisma in this tier, which is also a very surprising thing. I've not seen what it looks like with full charisma on it, because I did mine again in the toughest and charisma way, but charisma is her speciality, and damn, it is high. Now, whilst I'm going through this list, if any of these cards actually are pro for you, let me know in the comment section below, and also let me know if you got any of these as your freebie or your most recent ladder award, again in the comment section below. Moving on to number 3 is Charlotte. Charlotte, who was the queen of Survivor tier, the card that could do no wrong, and also was the Team Road to Glory champion at one point. Is slipped down to 3rd place, and she's just behind what I would class as one of the best cards of the tier, purely because of how great she is in 2 specific stats, and that I will talk about in a second. But Charlotte is very useful, but there is one thing you guys might want to know. The number 1 place card beats Charlotte in almost every single stat, which is absolutely insane. A bit OP. So, but Charlotte can be useful if leveled up in the right way. Toughness is what I'd recommend. Don't really rely too much on the power side of things. Just make sure you can beat certain cards like Nia Jax as an example. But tougher speed and charisma, she can be really useful. But otherwise, she's great, but not fantastic. But she is good for one other purpose, and that is to support a card that is ridiculously overpowered, and that is Lita, number 2 on this list. Now Lita is great because she procs in toughness and speed, also because she has that amazing season 1 card from the WrestleMania fusions. If you want to know more about what fusions are, go to the details over here, and there'll be my link over there about fusions and how they work, and also potentially season 2 proven fusions, who knows. But the main thing with Lita is that she is absolutely crazily overpowered in toughness and speed, which does mean that she does retain actually 2 of the best stats in the tier. But we're now going to move on to, we're talking OP. This is just ridiculously OP. Nikki Bella, the best diva in the entire WrestleMania tier. She is, before looking at pro stats, 100 almost base points. It's actually 80, I believe, base points above Brie Bella, her sister, which is absolutely insane. But not only that, she beats Charlotte in almost 4 stats. She actually draws of her on toughness, which is why I said about Charlotte making her a toughness base card. But power and toughness wise, literally Nikki Bella is just unrivaled. Sure, you can make a point that cards like Bayley and speed cards can go against them, and that's why I prefer Sasha Banks over maybe some of the other cards, because she can beat those cards. But seriously, it's absolutely incredible card, and my days, it literally is just the most overpowered thing I've pretty much seen in this game so far. It's almost upon fusions overpowered. Obviously, she does have a couple of weaknesses. She's great in charisma, but overall, toughness and speed, for example, against Lita, she's going to fail. The other thing she does have going against her is that Charlotte and Lita as a tag team are incredible, whereas Nikki Bella and Brie Bella are not going to be so good in this tier. So if you've got Charlotte and Lita as a tag, as pros, then it's just game over. In terms of power, toughness, speed, it's just incredible. However, it doesn't make any difference to the fact that Nikki Bella is just ridiculously overpowered. So what we're going to do now is look at the best stats for the tier. And what we're going to do when we look at that is look at the best power, toughness, speed and charisma, just like we did for the worst divas. And best power, no surprise, does go to Nikki Bella. The second stat we're going to look at is toughness, and that, well, actually, you know what, we're going to look at toughness and speed, because both of those go to Lita. Lita does have the best toughness and the best speed in the game, but a lot of people are going to get hit on the speed because it doesn't beat Brie Bella, which gives another chance for cards like Nikki Bella, Charlotte and Sasha Banks to come in with that toughness. And if you're using Lita for toughness, then you're going to get Brie Bella coming in there with the speed. She's the next one down. Best charisma I've already mentioned is Sasha Banks, and I'd love to see a card fully leveled in charisma for Sasha Banks. It'd be incredible. Again, let me know in the comment section below whether any of these cards are cards you've got, whether you pro'd them, or whether you want what cards you want the most out of all these divas, because they are incredibly rare to get, especially as pros. But that's all from me. Let me know in the comment section as well. I've asked a lot of you in terms of the comment section to let me know if this is something you want me to do for future tiers or future parts of SuperCard in detail and go through it in this much depth. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching this. Just one thing I ask everyone to do before leaving the video is to do one of 5 things. In fact, all 5 things. Not one, just one. Just do all of them. You can. Now. Anyway, like this video and share it on to other people. Subscribe to the channel for more WRESTLEMANIA SuperCard content. If you do so already, thank you, sir. You or madam, you are awesome. And then if we also could follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and also Instagram, details in the description below. I'll see you guys very, 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 very soon. Zombies!